Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar on RingCentral and Zoho. This is our overview and best practices. And this is the last official webinar of the year of our monthly webinar series. We kind of went out with a bang here in the end of the year, and we did one on Google and we did one on Shopify. Next Tuesday, you're not going to want to miss it. We'll be doing our first annual ZenMe Awards in a year in review. It's going to be kind of a CRM Zen Show special. It's going to be a little different one, so I'll give you the link to register for that. My name is Brett Martin. I'm the president of Zenatta Consulting. I usually do these with someone on my staff, almost always with Tyler Colt, who's my co-host of the CRM Zen Show. But today, it's just going to be me, so please don't be too disappointed. Here's what we're going to cover. Why we like RingCentral. Features, pricing, going to run through that. That's going to be pretty quick. That's just really a nice overview of what I think the highlights are and why it's important. And then we're going to kind of dive into Zoho and RingCentral integration. And it's not quite as simple as it would seem. If you have Zoho One, you integrate one way. If you have CRM, then one way, desk one way, recruit another way. Going to dive in a little bit to the user experience, what you see at the end of the day, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A box, not in the chat box. That way I can kind of get to them and I'll try to answer them all at the end. If there's something kind of salient, I'll try to answer it mid-webinar. Otherwise, with that, let's get right into it. So kind of a RingCentral overview here. So why RingCentral? Honestly, this is PC Magazine. Excellent. It really ranks up there as one of the top solutions. It's rock solid. It does all sorts of great things. It's got super deep features. It can go as big as a call center, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But the main reason why we like RingCentral is it's simply the best telephony platform for Zoho users. We have, I don't want to name names, but let's say I will tell you that we have probably tested out no less than 6 or 7 of what are considered to be fairly good VoIP solutions, and they are good VoIP solutions, but they all have kind of little quirks and little things that happen to them when it comes to kind of their overall integration with Zoho and how they work with Zoho. New ones are coming out all the time, so this changes. Plus, people are changing and upgrading their systems all the time. But we've gone down the road with several of them, and at the end of the day, RingCentral is the one that we've settled on. It's a rock solid experience for our customers. Kind of talk about some key features that are important overall to why you might want to consider it. So, it has a thing called RingCentral Office. Now, you necessarily don't need RingCentral Office, but it's kind of something that they sell, because if you have Zoho, one of the things that RingCentral Office includes is messaging, which is Zoho Click. They've got their own version of this. And so, if you're not familiar with Zoho Click, it basically is Slack. So interoffice messaging, interoffice communications, those kind of things. And it's a fairly good system, but quite frankly, if you're using Zoho, you want to use Slack because it all integrates together. They also have a video platform. RingCentral has licensed Zoom, so if but again, with Zoho, if you have Zoho One, you've got Zoho Meetings, so not necessarily something you use, but it's a fairly robust platform. Interestingly enough, though, it's a Zoom license, and so kind of what's different about that is, being a Zoom license like that, it really it won't integrate. So if you've got all these kind of integrations with calendar and the rest, you actually have to use the RingCentral integration if there is one. So yeah, it's a little different, but a rock solid solution as it's based on Zoom. And then phone, and that's kind of the key thing here, is that the telephony is solid, and quite frankly, it just, it never drops. It's rarely, I think there are 5 nines, and it's a very, very nice VoIP system. And then what we love, and this is kind of the big thing, are what they call the RingCentral app. And this allows for you to use RingCentral pretty much across anything. So they have plugins for virtually every major browser. So if you're someone who's on a Chromebook, or you're on Linux, and you've got people out in the field there. It's one of the few that truly supports it, because the RingCentral browser app is just pretty much full featured. Then they've got the desktop apps for Mac and PC, and they're a little more full featured. If you look, there's more things you can do in the desktop app. And then they've got their app for Android and iOS. So pretty much anywhere you go, you've got RingCentral with you. These apps work exceptionally well, and it kind of gives you that ability to deploy RingCentral pretty much on any device that you might have. Additionally, they have a full-blown contact center. So if you are running a call center and you need all of the features of call center, you need call queue, you need call waiting, you need, press a button to put yourself in line and we'll call you back when the next available operator. If you need automatic redial, you need all those kind of things, you can do all of that in their contact center as well. Couple of things when we talk about RingCentral that I want to bring up when it relates to pricing is, if you go to their website, you're going to see all sorts of different pricing. So an advantage you get, and this is the monthly pricing we're looking at right now per user. If you one of the advantages with Zoho is, you'll notice here under the premium plan, it says popular CRM integrations. And so oftentimes thought, well, if I want a CRM integration, I need to go with the premium plan and pay for that. But in fact, it's Zoho integration is in the standard edition, which makes it pretty nice across the board. You save quite a bit of money doing that. If you pay annually, you can see that the rates drop significantly if you pay on an annual basis. And I will tell you, there's all sorts of discounts, all sorts of features. You're probably, if you've got a larger company, you're going to want to reach out to a partner and have them put together a quote, because so at that point in time, RingCentral will do 2-year, 3-year contracts. You can pretty much get the annual rate and pay monthly, but you're under a 1-year contract. There's all sorts of kind of different things you can do there. So kind of worth reaching out to see if there's a better deal than you can get on the website. And usually there is a better deal at the end of the day than you can get on a website. So with that, I want to kind of dive in here to the overall Zoho and RingCentral integration. So in Zoho One, there's a different process for it, but you've got to do several things. So I'm going to kind of step you through all of these various processes just to how to install the overall software and what you can do here. So in Zoho One, you're basically, when you log into Zoho One, this is the dashboard you're going to see, and you're going to go over to the admin panel, and then you're going to click down on Marketplace. And then it's very strange, but in the Zoho One Marketplace, they really have broken it down to the applications and telephony. So you kind of have the standard marketplace. If you're familiar with marketplace.zoho.com, that's where you go for all of your applications. And we'll kind of talk about that in a little bit, because I have a question that came on before we started that I want to get to. But here you're going to go ahead and you're going to click on telephony. And then it's going to ask you to enable Phone Bridge. And Zoho has recently come out with their own PBX contact center. It's built on Twilio, not a bad integration. And we can talk a little bit about that as well. As a matter of fact, I think I'll talk about it right here, right now. Twilio is also a very, very nice platform for you to integrate on. If you do straight Twilio and you set up a Twilio account, it's not going to be as elegant in that there is no native phone dialer for Twilio. There's third-party dialers. There's no native Chrome or Firefox extension for Twilio. There are third-party dialers, and the best of them will cost you about $5 to $10 per user per month, depending on which version you're going to do. So you're kind of paying just for that dialer there. The integration into Zoho, while good, is not great. So, and we'll talk about that when you get a call, and I'll talk about this a little bit later. You don't have the ability to like not answer the call. You kind of have to make it kind of flip to a cell phone. There's all kinds of things. But Twilio has excellent integration for SMS. So oftentimes, if you're going to want to do some kind of deeper SMS integration, you'll want to maybe get a couple Twilio lines, spoof them to your potential RingCentral line, and you can kind of handle the SMS that way. I'll talk about a little bit about that more as we go down the line. So when you go into the marketplace, you'll see right up here at the top, RingCentral is number one. It sits up there, and it's probably because it's the most popular. These are 4 across, and by the way, they go 25 down. So you have over 100 choices here in your overall Zoho One telephony that you can go ahead and set up with Zoho One. Interestingly enough, though, not all of these will work across all the applications. One of the advantages of RingCentral is it does work across all applications where you would want to support telephony. But in fact, a lot of these you might go ahead and install them, but they're not going to work with Recruit, or they're not going to work with Desk. It's a little tweaky thing. Most of these companies say that they're going to work on that down they'll get to that. But we've run into that over time where person wanted telephony, they had, and we basically recommended one, and then it turned out it didn't work with Recruit. We should have known that, but it didn't really occur to us at the time. So we really had to kind of dive in and say, okay, which ones work with all of the applications? And again, you kind of land on RingCentral. There are a couple other that do as well. After you select RingCentral, you're going to go to this enable screen. So before I get to the enable, I want to talk a little bit about the CRM process, because if you just have CRM, it's a different process. From the home screen, you're going to go ahead and you're going to click on the settings in the upper right-hand corner. And then under channels, you're going to click on telephony. And then you're going to go ahead and click on click to configure. And that then is going to take you into the next screen where you actually can start the configuration and go ahead and set it up. If you have Zoho Desk, this is even more different than all of the others. And Zoho is working on a unified interface. We actually had a private kind of demo that was done for us for the partners here a while ago. And I will tell you, in this year, they're working on a consistent interface across all the applications. So it's going to be very, very nice, from settings menus to accessing other apps to setting these kind of things up. So it's coming, but for the time being and until it does, we kind of have to live with what we've got. So on the Zoho Desk integration, again, you're going to kind of go up and click on the settings in the upper right-hand corner. It's going to bring you to another setting screen. And in this case, you're going to click on phone. And when you click on phone, you're presented with a very similar layout that you have with Zoho One. Interestingly enough, there's only 23 phone providers that work with Zoho Desk. You wouldn't know that when you were in Zoho One. You'd say, hey, I choose this one and it's going to work with Desk. When you set it up, you'll find you'll have no Desk integration. So it's one of those things you kind of want to look at as you need to kind of consider the applications that people are going to be dialing from and what you're going to log things to as well. All right. And then once you've done that, you choose RingCentral, you get another screen with the enable button. Lastly, you kind of have Zoho Recruit. And Zoho Recruit integration is, again, rather similar. If you've not used Zoho Recruit, it basically, as you can see, is kind of Zoho CRM. It's heavily modified to be an applicant tracking system, and it does it does very nice on that, but it is not CRM. It basically is built like that, but slightly different and strictly for applicants. So it links with job boards and it pulls everything in. And a lot of times, if you're a recruiter, you're going to want to be calling your candidates out of here. You're going to want to be, basically all of your interaction will be living inside of Zoho Recruit. So it's super important that your telephony integration works with that. And again, it's limited. There's just maybe 20 or so that work there. When you click on settings, there is a completely different screen you see here. So under telephony, they have mobile apps, SMS gateway, and phone bridge. And this is kind of an interesting thing because we'd really like, since it is built upon CRM, I do believe these kind of things are going to be coming. This setup will be coming to CRM as well. So SMS gateway pretty important. We'd like to have it in CRM. You definitely need it here. And if you're going to set up your SMS gateway, it's going to be in Twilio though. And that's what that's going to go to. And then we'll talk about the mobile apps as well. So in this case, you're going to click Phone Bridge. And again, you get the overall click to configure. Now, next, we're going to kind of talk a little bit about this user experience. So the admin, the very, very first time this gets set up, of course, this is the admin enabling it for the entire organization. But the experience is going to be very similar for every other user once they go ahead and log in. So again, I'm going to take you back to this screen for Zoho One. I go ahead and I click enable again, and it's just going to ask you to log into RingCentral. So every one of your users is going to log into RingCentral given their own credentials. So when you set up RingCentral, you're basically going to have all of your users, they're all going to have their own phone numbers. You put their email address in, they then get an email, they have to authenticate, they choose their own password. So they're given their own phone number, tied to their email address, tied to their password. And so every single user is going to basically have to log in the very first time themselves and go ahead and authenticate with RingCentral. They also can confirm their emergency address. So if they happen to be in other parts of the world, they can make changes to that. If it's associated with them, it should come up. This is our corporate address. So if I stroke out right now and have a heart attack, everybody note that address and be sure to send the paramedics. Once you've gone ahead and enabled, then it's going to ask you, how do you want to make your calls? So, we talked a little bit about this where you've got the mobile app, you've got the browser app, and you've got the soft phone, which is the Windows app or the Macintosh app. So we'll kind of go through these. Everybody might want to have their different thing. Some people don't ever even want to use any of the soft phones, any of the browser apps. Those people are going to want to use Ring Out. So what Ring Out allows you to do is basically when a call comes in, you can send it to your desktop app. You would never want to do that. But what you want to do is you want to send it to a custom phone, because if you have a desktop app, it's automatically going to ring it. So you don't need to do that. So you want to say, hey, I'm going to send it to a phone. And all you do is you put your phone number in. And once you've got the phone number in there, when someone calls, it's going to ring your phone and you will answer it directly on your phone. When you go to call somebody and you click on, which you'll see a little later, and you're actually clicking on their contact to dial them, it's then going to ring your phone. You will answer the phone and it will ring that contact. So Ring Out is one way to do that. I should point out though that RingCentral also has full VoIP connectivity with virtually every desktop handset you would want. It's a huge list. So if you wanted to configure a desk phone, you can have a desk phone, and when you click ring, it's just automatically going to ring that. And that would be one of those that would choose. So when you see here, your desk phone would actually choose, would pop there. And that would be a choice you would have. So just, I'm going to ring my desk phone. I'm making calls from my desk phone. Everything's happening from my desk phone. All right. So once you do that, the other option you have when you're setting up is browser. And that's just really straightforward. That's just the browser app. And once you select it, you will need to tell what phone number you're going to link to that. Now, normally your employees, when they log in, they're just going to see their phone number that's assigned to them. But since I'm doing this as an admin, I'm seeing kind of that main number that someone could come into, where they dial the main number and then they get the IVR that says press 1 for this person, 2 for this person, 3 for this person. So you have that choice when you're setting it up. But you then can say, you know what, as the admin, I want it to be the main number, or maybe I want it to be my own personal extension. You're given that choice. Your users, though, will only see one phone number. And then lastly, you have the overall soft phone. And this is just very straightforward. When you click the soft phone, it's going to say, great, do you have the soft phone installed? You need to have the soft phone installed. And they make it pretty easy, because if you don't have it, you can just click there and it's going to take you directly to the RingCentral page where you can download. I happen to be on a Mac, so it's showing me the Mac screen, but it does have that nice little drop down arrow. So if you wanted to download it for a PC, Google Play, Android Store, you can go ahead and do it all there as well. So pretty straightforward to get that application and go ahead and get it set up on your desktop. Then once you've got that, you click save and you are done. You now have RingCentral set up, and it's set up for all of your employees as well. So the difference you'll notice is if I Look at its CRM screen. You'll notice down here you have all of the various icons that you can go to. Most recent things, notifications, Zia, Game Scope. You've got a whole variety of things here. Once you've installed telephony, you're going to get a little telephone icon that appears down here at the bottom. Now, for most of your employees, that's what they're going to see. When they first time they log in, you're going to say, click on that telephone icon. And when they go ahead and they click on that telephone icon, they're actually going to get the login screen. So it'll be the same screens we were looking at before. Go ahead and log in, go ahead and authenticate. Once they authenticate, it's going to ask them, how do you want to make your calls? How do you want to set those up? And they can choose whatever they're going to want to do. So you're not actually locked into that at any time. If a person just wanted to switch things completely, and let's say I'm going to go out of town for a week and I just want to make sure all my calls go directly to my cell phone. Then you would just go ahead and change it to a ring out and make sure that they're all going there. So there's a lot of flexibility and a lot of things you can do there. So let's talk about what the experience then looks like inside of the CRM. So here I've got Ben Atta. He's the son of Zenatta, and he's got a phone number all dialed in. You've got the standard green phone icon that appears pretty much all the time inside Zoho. It's set up by default for, I want to say, Skype. But there's a lot of different things you can set up there. But what happens now is when you hover over that number to make a call, you get the nifty little RingCentral logo here. And if you click the phone, it's going to make a phone call. And if you click the little SMS bubble, you can send an SMS. Now, I had a question earlier about SMS. And the interesting part about this is it doesn't really log, it logs that SMS, but it's not going to do, there's no responses, there's no way you can chat back and forth. So if you really are wanting to do some sort of SMS and you want to stay native inside of the CRM and you want to say native in RingCentral, basically what you're going to have to do is purchase an extension. There's two ways you can go about this. There's an extension called RingCentral SMS for Zoho. This is a very good, there's a lot of versions on this. They've been working for a while, and it basically will create a related list and you can see all of your inbound and outbound messages and you're able to send those messages and it works exceptionally well. So this is a nice workaround. It's fine. It's probably not the kind of true little SMS experience you'd like to see where you've got a drop down window on it as well. There are a couple other solutions for it that work. There's one from Catalyst, Catalyst. So Twilio SMS from Catalyst. This is a great one. These guys have developed this for a long time. This gives you more kind of this is a Chrome extension that ties into Zoho, writes all of the inbound and outbound, all the messages back to Zoho, but it sits up in Chrome. So you actually can kind of see the real conversation going back and forth. I like this one a lot. It is really good as well. And then last but not least, while we're in here, there is another one, and I'm trying to find who it's by. Is this it? Twilio SMS? There's so many. See, this is why I always do all the screen shares so I don't have to go through this. There is another one. Maybe this is it. It's going to be, but yep, this is it. Boy, he's added so much to it. This is a gentleman called Jeremy Nagel. His company's Deluge on a Luge. He has got some great training programs. He has a very nice SMS, MMS integration for Twilio as well. Now, we're talking about RingCentral. The reason that all these are built on Twilio is it has an extremely open API, and there's just a whole lot of things you can do to bring in SMS. Now, you can spoof a number, so you can say you can spoof your RingCentral number. Twilio is cheap. It's $1 a month for a number, and then you're paying, I want to say, 3/4 of a penny for every text that goes in and out. So it's a nice way to kind of, have the very best and kind of VoIP telephony with all that's going to give you, and we'll talk about how that looks in a minute here. But at the same time, if you really need SMS, you're going to want to look at one of these solutions. And If you want to, email me afterwards, brett@zenatta.com. I'm happy, or just go to zenatta.com/Brett. Just book a quick meeting with me. I'm happy to just give you, half an hour to an hour and tell you what all your options are as it relates to kind of setting up SMS and those kind of things as well. All right, enough of that digression. So that's the SMS story. But basically what you're going to want to look at here is, you're going to go ahead and click on the telephone, and that's it. You just click on the telephone and it's going to call. You're going to get a pop-up in the bottom, and it's going to tell you it's that you're talking to Ben Otta. Now, this is rather new. Because you can have it connected to all of these different things, it's going to basically ask you, do you want to actually go into this person's record? So if you wanted to go look at their record, look at their contact information, look at all the notes, look at all the things you've got going on, you can go ahead and do that. Just by clicking on any of these three down here, it's basically going to take you directly to that contact record. You don't have to, though. You've made the call. Maybe it's just a quick little call. And so once you do that and you end the call, you have a choice of leaving a description. So I left him a voicemail. You can see here it's a 26-second call. You also then have this option of adding a task. In this case, we want to add it's not letting me add to recruit or begin. It's only saying you can only add this task currently into Zoho CRM. So you could, because I didn't initiate from one of those, so it's wanting to add it. So you can do a call, task, or event. You can go ahead and set up your follow-up. In this case, I'm going to set up a follow-up task. I'm going to say, call him back tomorrow on December 16th. And then I am done. So now I've got my left voicemail. My follow-up task is call back tomorrow. So if we actually go into the contact record now, you'll see that two activities were created. You have an open activity and you have one closed activity. And if we go ahead and we look at this open activity, it's call back tomorrow. It's a task. It's due 26th. And if we look at the closed activity, it's logged the entire call. This can be super, super helpful for sales teams across the board. I mean, if you really want to know how many calls are people making, how long are they on the call, what are the dispositions of their call, all of those kind of things. If you don't have this kind of telephony integration and people are just making the call and kind of logging the activities, you really don't get a true picture of, what's happening. And by the way, this is exactly the same for inbound. So that was me initiating a call. If Ben was to call me, that same screen pop would appear no matter where I am. I would then go ahead and go into his record, answer the call. All of the call would be logged. It would be logged as an inbound call. So pretty tight integration. This is across the board in desk, recruit, CRM, Biggin, any place where you would actually want to have telephony integration, RingCentral works. And with that, I'm going to open it to questions, and we have quite a few here. So let me just kind of take them through them. So first one is, am I familiar with Jive, and can I point out any significant differences? I think the main differences are where it integrates across the board. Now, that may have changed. I honestly have not looked at Jive in probably 6 months. And as we kind of gone through it, it just wasn't integrating with certain things. Wasn't particularly thrilled overall with the dialer. It kind of the pop up and some of the integrations. It may have changed. If you're using Jive and you love it, then I say you stay with Jive. I mean, it's part of LogMeIn. It's a rather big company. You've got a lot of advantages, just like with RingCentral. Jive gives you that ability to, you get telephony and you can get GoToMeeting bundled with it. And you can even get whatever their password manager is it LogMeIn? I think that's what it is. Anyway, so you've got some nice advantages there. All right, I've got a question from Tiffany. What is your opinion of the Zoho integration with Vonage Business? My company already pays for Vonage. I don't want to bother integrating it with Zoho if RingCentral is a superior option. We've using mainly CRM and Recruit, possibly SMS through Marketing Hub. We have not done a lot with Vonage. It seems to be a fine integration. They've really come quite a long way. Honestly, you can kind of look at both. There's really no cost. If you've got Vonage already, you can just quickly do an integration look at it, see how it works. I mean, again, if you want to jump on a call, we could just do it in 2 seconds. We could just look at that integration. You could kind of compare it and see what it looks like. But Vonage is a good service. If you're already there and you're using it, sometimes it's painful to change. Porting numbers usually takes 2-3 days. Then there's the whole changeover and the new systems. And if you're using phones, then you have to make sure that the phones that you have are actually compatible with whatever new carrier you're going to. It's not really a small thing. I don't believe Vonage supports SMS in a robust way. It's very similar to RingCentral. It doesn't support it there either. You can send an SMS, but that you're gonna need a third-party plugin. There's one for RingCentral. I don't think there's any for Vonage. Let me take a look here real quick. Maybe someone has made a Vonage SMS. Nope, they have not. So on the SMS side, where you do have that RingCentral SMS application, you're not gonna get one for Vonage there as well. So, but again, you can use Twilio on a very inexpensive, map it to your numbers, and kind of make that work as well. All right, Alberto, for small sales teams working mostly remotely, what will be better, desk phone or soft phone? I love soft phones. You can just do a simple headset, USB headset, and it's plugged in. It's plugged into your PC. It's super, super reliable. Soft phone it's very reliable. As a backup, you can also have it set so that, if after 30 seconds I don't answer, ring my cell phone, and you can have it ring your cell phone and it'll ring there. But we've all set up on soft phones. I will tell you that I would say that probably 70 to 80% of the clients we've set up in the last couple of years have just completely moved away from desk phones, gone completely to soft phones where they're just wearing a headset. And that's been working pretty well for them across the board. All righty. I hope that answered your question. Please look into Twilio on the Zenatta session, and Twilio may fix our XM. I think, Tiffany, that probably was supposed to go to someone else. There we go. So very good. All right. I got to answer that question. All right. Moving on to Cody. When you have a moment, could you give me a quick rundown of the difference between Jive and RingCentral? I think I just kind of did. So that was answered, Cody. Is there a way to integrate Google SMS with Zoho? Not that I am aware of. But again, let me check the Zoho marketplace. No. So I think what you're talking about there, that would be like almost the same as using like Apple iMessage. I don't know if those were even open APIs or not. I've never seen anything like that. So Cody, I do not think that's a possibility for you there. All right, and that was the last of the questions. So I'll wait a second here. Any others? Looks like that's it. I do want to remind you that the ZenMe's are coming up. So if you go to our website, you can see the link to go ahead and register for the ZenMe's. It's going to be next Tuesday. Also, if you get our newsletter, if you don't get our newsletter, you're going to want to go ahead and sign up for the newsletter as well. And I'll show you that link here in a minute. You can also find us on all the places you'd want to subscribe to the podcast. But if you go here to zenatta.com/newsletter, you will get our newsletter every Monday. That covers every single thing that happened in Zoho in the previous week. If you're not familiar, it sits over on our Selly site, and it's the CRM Zen show site. And this is where we have all of the show, everything you want to know. So every episode, so this one, Zobot scares me, and actually it does. You've got a video of the show. You can watch it on YouTube. We've got audio of the show. And then basically this is just all the Zoho news. This is everything that happened in Zoho last week, latest blogs, our application of the week, all of those kind of things are there. Also, all of the events that are ever happening in the world of Zoho, not just us. So we've got today's event, but In 2 days, advanced sites demo with product experts. It's a Q&A session that's going to be put on by Zoho. You've got another exclusive live Q&A session with the Zoho Vault team. If you haven't checked out Zoho Vault, it is a fantastic password manager. Then the Zoho Sign team is doing a live Q&A session as well. That's next Thursday. Then, of course, CRM Zen show. They're doing a 2020 rundown of 40 key features in 40 minutes. That's at 3 o'clock in the morning. So you might want to get up early for that if you're on the East Coast or West Coast, either one. And then, of course, our Zen Me Awards. But we try to keep, most of this stuff comes out just at the very, very, very last minute. And so it's literally Zoho will announce that they've got a webinar and event, and it's usually much less than a week. So we try to keep track of everything there. And that's it, guys. I want to thank you so much. Oh, got one more question. Let's see if I can get that in here real quick. Is RC less particular about hardware like routers? Uh, it's one of those things. It's all based on bandwidth. Depending on how many people you have, depending on what your overall bandwidth is, you can run into trouble. It's really, really easy, by the way. If you don't have VoIP solutions and you're thinking about VoIP solutions, there are a couple tools that you can download and you can run tests straight away just to see whether or not you're going to have any trouble with it. So, Cody, again, if you want to take that offline, I'd be happy to talk to you about that. All right, guys. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. Greatly appreciate you dropping in, and hopefully we will see you next Tuesday for the year in review and the first annual ZenMe Awards. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.